All right, so ready to dive into the world of Rustproofer interviews.
Yeah, sounds good.
We've got some really great resources here, career guides, sample interview questions, and we'll even take a look at how RoleCatcher's AI can help you really nail those answers.
Awesome.
So
Let's get into it.
yeah, let's jump right in. Now, rustproofing, it's a field where you can really make a difference, right? Protecting all kinds of things from rust and corrosion.
Yeah, you know what's really cool about it is it's a mix of hands-on skills, but also like a deep understanding of material science.
Yeah.
You're not just putting on a coating, you're
Right.
like creating this barrier that can extend the life of, I mean, everything bridges cars.
It's like giving metal surfaces their own little superhero shields.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, before we get into those interview questions, let's talk a little about what a rustproofer's career path could look like.
Okay, so usually you start as an entry-level rustproofer, helping out senior colleagues, learning the ropes. Then as you get more experience, you move up to junior rustproofer, taking on more responsibility, maybe even leading some smaller teams.
Okay.
And then finally, you can become a senior rustproofer, overseeing projects, mentoring junior staff, and really leaving your mark on the industry.
And the career guide even mentioned that a lot of senior rustproofers, they even go on to start their own businesses,
Yeah,
offering like specialized coding services. So
absolutely.
there's definitely room to grow.
Lots of opportunity.
Yeah. But let's get to the heart of it. Those interview questions. Are you ready to tackle some tough ones?
Bring them on.
All
I think we can definitely help our listener with some strategies to answer them well.
right, first question. Describe a time you had to troubleshoot a problem with rust-proofing equipment. What steps did you take? Now, this seems pretty straightforward, right? Like a technical question.
Mm-hmm.
But what are interviewers really trying to find out here?
Okay, so they're definitely looking for, technical know-how, but they want to see how you solve problems. Can you think on your feet? Are you methodical? Do you stick with it until you find a solution, even when things get tough?
So it's not just about knowing the answer. It's about how you approach the problem.
Exactly.
What kind of answer format would really impress them?
Think STAR method. Situation, task, action, result.
Okay.
Briefly set the scene. You know what was going on. Describe your role.
Okay.
Outline the steps you took to find and fix the problem.
Got it.
And then really important, highlight the positive outcome, what happened because of what you did.
Okay.
Did you get the equipment working again? Avoid a delay. Learn something you could use in the future.
So instead of just saying, I fixed the spray gun, you'd want to say something like,
I noticed the spray gun was giving an uneven coating, so I checked the pressure gauge and saw it was low. Traced it back to a kink in the air hose, straightened it out, retested the pressure, and it was fixed. The coating went back to normal, and we stayed on schedule.
that makes so much more sense. It shows you took charge, you know what you're doing, and you understand that keeping things running smoothly is really important.
Exactly.
Now, what kind of follow-up questions could they ask?
Well, they might ask you about specific types of equipment you've worked with, common problems,
Yeah.
or safety procedures you followed while you were troubleshooting. They might even ask what you learned from it. So be ready to show you can reflect on your experiences.
Good points. Next question. How do you ensure proper adhesion of a rust-proofing coating to a metal surface?
Right.
So this was all about showing, the process right.
Yeah, it's like sharing your secret recipe for a perfect coating.
So walk us through. What's the very first thing you absolutely have to do?
Surface prep is key. You need a clean slate.
Right.
So you have to clean off any dirt, grease, and existing rust really thoroughly.
Okay.
Then depending on the type of metal and how strong you need the adhesion to be, you might need to use sandpaper to roughen it up or use a chemical etching solution.
So it's kind of like creating the perfect canvas before you start painting.
Exactly.
Now, what are some things people should avoid doing when answering this question?
Don't assume the interviewer knows the basics. Explain each step clearly and why it's important.
Yeah.
You want to show your expertise and your attention to detail.
What would a winning answer sound like?
Okay, try this. To ensure proper adhesion, I'm really careful about the process. First, I clean the surface completely with a degreaser and a wire brush to get rid of anything that shouldn't be there. Then I look at the metal, what type it is, what condition it's in. For smooth surfaces or certain metals, I might use sandpaper to roughen it up a bit. And for a really strong bond on tougher surfaces, I might use a chemical etching solution. Finally, I rinse it all off and let it dry completely before I put on the coating.
Wow, that sounds really thorough. You can tell you really care about your work.
Thanks.
And you understand the how and the why behind making a coating that lasts.
Appreciate it.
Now, interviewers often like to ask about teamwork.
Yeah.
Something like, Tell me about a time you had to work as part of a team to complete a rust-proofing project. What was your role, and what were some of the challenges you faced? What are they trying to figure out with this question?
Well, teamwork is important in any job, but especially in a field like rustproofing, where you might be working with other tradespeople, engineers, even clients.
Yeah.
So this question is all about showing that you can communicate effectively, work towards a common goal, and handle the bumps in the road that always come up when you're working with others.
So how can you really ace this answer?
That STAR method we talked about, it's your best friend here too.
Oh, okay.
Describe a specific project, what your role was,
Got it.
what challenges you ran into,
Yeah.
and then highlight how you all worked together to get past those obstacles and get the job done.
So what are some things people should avoid saying?
Don't make it all about you. Emphasize how you collaborated, communicated, and supported your team members. Could you take the initiative to solve problems? Offer help when someone was struggling. Listen to different perspectives and find creative solutions together.
So instead of saying, I single-handedly saved the project, you'd want to say something like,
Okay, so let's say we were rust-proofing this huge water tank, and my job was to get the surface ready for the coating. The big challenge was the deadline we had to finish before the rainy season hit. We split the tank into sections, each of us focusing on our own area, but we were constantly talking, helping each other out with tricky parts, and even came up with a better system for cleaning. In the end, we finished ahead of schedule, and the coating went on perfectly. It was a real team effort.
that's a great example. It shows you get how important working together is, you're good at solving problems,
Yeah.
and you're a team player.
Appreciate that.
Now let's switch gears for a minute and talk about something that can really give you an advantage in your interview prep.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI. Have you seen how this technology is changing things?
It's pretty amazing. It's like having your own career coach right there in your pocket. Yeah.
It can help you tailor your resume and application to each specific job.
Oh, wow.
Help you figure out skills you might need to work on, and even get you noticed by recruiters who are actively looking for people.
But for this deep dive, we want to focus on how it can help you nail those interview questions. What's the secret there?
The magic is in the AI feedback you get for practicing your answers.
Okay.
You can actually record yourself answering practice questions just like in a real interview.
Cool.
And the AI looks at your video and gives you personalized feedback on what you say, how you say it,
Oh, wow.
and even your body language.
So it's not just about what you say, but how you say it.
Exactly. The AI can help you get the pacing right, your tone of voice, even your facial expressions, making sure you come across as confident and genuine.
That's really incredible. It's like having a secret weapon to help you really shine in that interview. Now let's get back to those interview questions and see what other gems we can find to help you stand out. Sounds good. Okay, so another question that comes up a lot in these interviews is, what are some of the most important safety precautions you take when working with rust-proofing chemicals? This is where you can show them you're not just skilled, but you're responsible and you take safety seriously.
Yeah, safety is super important when you're dealing with chemicals and equipment that could be dangerous.
Absolutely.
So what kind of answer will really impress them?
Structure is key. Start by talking about your overall safety mindset.
Okay.
Things like always reading those chemical labels, carefully following the manufacturer's instructions, and making sure there's good ventilation.
Right.
Then get specific. Talk about the PPE you use, gloves, goggles, respirators, and how you make sure they're all in good shape.
So you're showing them you don't just know the rules, you actually follow them.
Exactly.
What are some mistakes people make with this question?
Sometimes people downplay the risks, or they're too vague.
Okay.
Interviewers want to see that you understand the dangers and you actively try to prevent them.
Makes sense.
Another mistake is focusing only on your own safety and forgetting about everyone else.
Right.
Your team, the environment, anyone who could be affected by your work.
So paint us a picture of what a safe and responsible rust-proofer looks like. What would a really great answer sound like?
Okay, so you could say something like, safety is my top priority on every job. I always start by reading the chemical labels and safety data sheets really carefully, so I understand the hazards and precautions. I make sure I have the right PPE, gloves, goggles, or respirator, and I check them all the time to make sure they're in good condition. I'm also really careful about ventilation. I either work in a well-ventilated area or I use a ventilation system to make sure those fumes are going where they're supposed to. And of course, I follow all the company safety rules and best practices to protect myself, my team, and the environment.
Wow, that answer just screams responsibility and attention to detail. Now, I bet they also like to ask about those tricky situations like dealing with a difficult customer.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Something like, describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult customer or client. How did you handle the situation? What are they really getting at with this?
It's all about your people skills.
Okay.
Communication, problem solving, staying calm and professional when things get tough.
Right.
They want to know if you can turn a negative situation into a positive one.
So how do you navigate those choppy customer waters and come out on top?
You guessed it, that STAR method is your best friend again.
Okay. I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, describe the situation, your specific role, the actions you took, and the positive outcome.
Got it.
The key is to show empathy, that you listened, and you found a way to make everyone happy.
What are some common mistakes people make?
Don't badmouth the customer,
Okay.
even if they were being unreasonable. Focus on what you did to address their concerns,
Right.
and don't get defensive.
Right.
If you made a mistake, own it and show that you're willing to learn from it.
So instead of saying that customer was a nightmare, you'd say something like,
A customer was upset about a small imperfection in the coating on a metal gate we had rust-proofed. I wanted to make sure I understood their concerns and find a way to fix it. I listened to them, acknowledged their frustration, and apologized for the mistake. Then I checked the gate, really carefully found the problem, and explained to the customer how we could fix it. We ended up recoding a small section, and they were really happy with the final result. They even complimented our professionalism and attention to detail.
hey, that's turning a negative into a positive.
Yeah.
You calmed the situation down, found a solution, and even got a happy customer out of it.
Exactly.
Now, interviewers also like to see that you're passionate about learning and keeping up with your field.
Absolutely.
So they might ask something like, how do you stay up to date on the latest advancements and technologies in rustproofing? What's the hidden message there?
They want to know that you're not just coasting, you're actively learning new things,
Okay.
exploring new trends, and always trying to improve your skills.
So how do you show them that you're a lifelong learner and you really care about rustproofing?
Be specific. Don't just say, I read articles online.
Yeah.
Name the publications you read. Mention industry organizations you follow, conferences you attend, or online courses you've taken.
So instead of a vague answer, you could say,
I make sure I stay informed about the latest in rustproofing. I subscribe to Metal Finishing and Coatings Pro, and I read Corrosionpedia online to keep up with new technologies. I also follow the National Association of Corrosion Engineers, NACE, and the Society for Protective Coatings, SSPC, for updates on industry standards. And of course, I try to attend conferences and workshops whenever I can to learn from experts and network with other professionals.
now that's an answer that shows you're serious about your work. It proves that you're not just going with the flow. You're actively looking for the knowledge and skills that will make you a top-notch rustproofer.
Thanks.
Now, before we move on, let's go back to our secret weapon for interview success, RoleCatcher's AI. How can this technology help you really fine-tune your answers and blow those interviewers away?
It's all about the AI feedback you get for practicing your answers. It's like having a personal coach who analyzes everything you say, how you say it, even your body language. It helps you polish your delivery and come across as confident and genuine.
Like having a backstage pass to interview success. Can you give us an example of how it works?
Sure. Let's say you're practicing your answer to that question about staying up to date on industry advancements. You record yourself giving a decent answer, mentioning some publications and organizations.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI might analyze your video and say, your answer is good, but you could make it even better by mentioning specific training courses or workshops you've attended. You could add something like, I recently went to a workshop on advanced coating techniques where I learned about the latest spray gun technologies. This shows you're committed to hands-on learning and makes your answer even stronger.
That's so helpful. It's like having an expert there giving you tips on how to make your answers even more powerful.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now let's switch gears and talk about a question that can be kind of tricky for people.
Okay, so let's talk about salary expectations. It's one of those questions that can make anyone nervous.
Yeah, for sure. How do you handle that dreaded, what are your salary expectations question without selling yourself short or making them think you're asking for too much?
It's all about finding that balance. But with a little prep, you can handle it with confidence.
Okay.
First, do your research. Check out websites like Glassdoor or Salary.com to see what other rustproofers with your level of experience are making in your area.
Makes sense.
Then think about your skills, your qualifications, everything you bring to the table.
Right. So you need to find that sweet spot where your expectations line up with the market value and what you're worth.
Exactly.
What's a good way to answer this question? So you sound confident, but also realistic.
Instead of throwing out a specific number right away, give them a range. You could say, based on my research and experience, I'm looking for a salary between X and Y, but I'm definitely open to discussing the details based on the responsibilities and opportunities of the role.
Ah, that's smart. It shows you've done your homework, you're flexible, and you're thinking about what you can bring to the company.
Exactly.
Now let's flip things around for a minute. Remember, an interview isn't just about them asking you questions. It's also your chance to see if they're a good fit for you.
Right.
What are some good questions you can ask the interviewer to really get a sense of the company culture and the role itself?
Don't be afraid to ask questions that will help you decide if it's the right place for you.
Okay.
You could ask things like, what are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities the Rustproofing team is facing right now? Or what does professional development look like here? Are there opportunities for training and advancement? Or how would you describe the team dynamic? Is it a collaborative environment?
Those are really good questions. It shows you're thinking about more than just the paycheck. You actually care about the bigger picture.
Definitely.
Now let's talk about making a great final impression.
Yeah.
What are some tips for ending the interview on a high note?
Let your enthusiasm show. Interviewers love to see that you're passionate about rustproofing.
Right.
Ask thoughtful questions, really engage in the conversation, and let them know you're genuinely interested in the company and the role. And don't forget the basics, a firm handshake and a sincere thank you.
Yeah.
Follow up with a short thank you note, restating your interest and mentioning something specific you talked about during the interview.
It's those little things that can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to emphasize one more time how helpful RoleCatcher's AI can be for interview prep. It's like having a coach in your pocket, helping you refine your answers, perfect your delivery, and project confidence.
It really is.
Don't underestimate the power of this technology. It can give you a real edge. So to all you aspiring Rustproofers out there, remember, you've got the skills, you've got the knowledge, and with a little prep and the right tools, you can totally ace that interview.
Absolutely.
Go get them. That's it for our deep dive into the world of Rustproofer interviews. We've covered a lot, from those tough questions to using AI to really showcase your skills and passion.
Yeah.
Remember, confidence is key, preparation is your superpower, and RoleCatcher can give you that extra boost. Good luck out there.